Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the Frontline Changes report for the past 24 hours. Wrong, 48 hours for the past 2 days, because yesterday I gave myself off day and went to the Singapore Grand Prix F1. Yeah, so we go to the Kharkiv front for the first frontline change. We have new geolocations at Volchansk so this is the city of Volchansk, and the Russian forces previously have advanced in this sector here due to geolocation. The latest geolocation show the Russian forces have advanced further, so they have moved on further down, and this is of course a very arbitrary update. We just draw a triangle and see how this goes. So the advance in this sector is another 600 meters of advance over on this western side of the city. So that's all from Volchansk. The next frontline change, we go all the way to the Lyman front at Fedorivka. So over Fedorivka, this is off Novoselivka. The Ukrainian mapping Deep State US have updated the map to show the Russian forces have advanced in this sector here. So this, which means that the southwest of Fedorivka is now secured by the Russian forces, and this will allow the Russian forces to continue to advance westward or southward towards the north of Novoselivka. The advance in this sector here, so you can see it's nothing much here. No, this is just a very marshy land by the look of it. The advance is probably around 900 meters on average. The next frontline change is nearby over at Kolozyazi. So this is a very big one. This one is because of a geolocation. So there's a geolocation of Russian forces over this area here. The fact that the Russians are here means that Kolozyazi is captured by the Russian forces. And I have drawn this in a very liberal way, where I believe that the whole of this gully region is now entirely captured by the Russian forces. So the Russian forces most likely have taken off these places. There is a lot of fighting in this sector for a long time already, so I think a straightened front line would make sense. So, but of course this is a judgment call. I can be wrong, but if I'm wrong, then we just correct the map when we have further information. So the advance here in the deepest point is around almost 3 kilometers. So there's a very, very big frontline change, and Kolozyazi is captured. The next frontline change, we go on to the Siversk front. Siversk, we have two major updates. One is over in Vimka, and another one is over at Fedorivka. At the Vimka region, this is based on Russian mapping. In their mapping, they draw this in a more straightened frontline manner. So they draw it in this way. So the front line here is straightened. This is just a Russian claim, but most likely this is correct because it does make sense. The other frontline change is over at Fedorivka. So this is a major update for the past 24 hours. The Russian forces have captured Fedorivka with 4 different geolocations across the whole town, confirming the full capture of Fedorivka. And so Russian forces have captured this town, which they have claimed to have captured a long time ago. But this is the first evidence that we have that they have captured it. So the previous claim was in 2nd of September. So it's been some time since. So now that we have this confirmation. The advance in this sector here is at least around 1.3 kilometers at least, but on the longest side it is actually 3.3 kilometers. So this Russian offensive in the south of Siversk front is now picking up steam. So we have this one that is already moving up towards Siversk. Now the Russians are now pushing as the Ukrainian positions in the Siversk front is collapsing. So because of the major flanking operations that's happening in the north, Ukrainian forces have to deal with that, neglecting the south probably. So Siversk front is now in the middle stage of this collapse. I think in sooner or later, we're gonna see the end of Siversk front as a whole, and we're probably gonna come up with a new name for it. After Siversk, the next frontline change, after the Siversk front, the next frontline change is at Lyman over in the Pokrovsk front. This is a very small change over in the north of Minograd. So this Minograd, this Pokrovsk, Severny Lyman is over here. There is a geolocation of Russian forces in the forest. So this leads to a very tiny frontline change as the Russians start to find a new way to get into Severny Lyman. So the geolocation is slightly easier. Yeah. So anyway, we shall see how this goes. This is a very tiny change. Advance is probably around 200 meters. So after Severny Lyman, the next frontline change is over in Ivanivka, over in the north of the Komar front. So Komar is here. This is Ivanivka. So in case you do not know, this is the Komar front. Over in the Ivanivka, there is geolocation of Russian forces expanding the zone of control inside of Ivanivka. So the Russian forces continue to progress slowly in the eastern part of Ivanivka. This area here is strongly held by the Ukrainians, so it's probably going to be a hard push for the Russians. The advance here is around 700 meters, 600 meters, around that. So that's Ivanivka. The Battle of Ivanivka now is confirmed to be still ongoing. The next frontline change after Ivanivka is Ukrainian claims. So the Ukrainians have claimed the deep state UA, the Ukrainian open source intelligence, interestingly claimed that they have secured Shifneve, Novoselivka, Koroshev, and Sosnivka. Yeah, they claim all of these places to be cleared of Russian forces. But only in this Sosnivka region and Koroshev that they actually put full claims over on this sector here. That means they full captured by their forces. So according to Ukrainians, this area here is now firmly under Ukrainian control. They have drawn the mapping, updating that they have captured all of these areas here. But a big chunk of the rest is just still gray zone. Particularly Shifneve is entirely a gray zone. So yeah, the Ukrainian claims are a bit weird. The captured region here, or the claimed region, is around 700 meters on average in terms of the movement. Sosnivka is contested, so it's not surprising if the Ukrainians have taken it. But what is interesting was that they also mapped that the Russians may advance in the southwest of Sosnivka. So while the Ukrainians claim that they have taken these positions, they have captured Sosnivka, they also mapped that the Russians are now pushing up north in the southwest of Sosnivka. Russian forces captured the full tree line around here. So the Russians have advanced in this sector here as well as the gully over here. And this made it a bit interesting, where the Ukrainians attack here, the Russians are flanking them in the rear. That looks like what it is. So Ukrainians, so I changed the color of the arrows. The Ukrainians counterattack in this sector here. They are counterattacking, whereas the Russians are pushing up into their rear positions. Why is my arrow so ugly today? Let me slow down the mouse even further. So yeah, so this doesn't look very good in the strategic sense, so we shall see how this goes. There's a river going down here, so Ukrainian forces counterattacking this way. The Russians heading into the rear or pushing to their rear positions is, yeah, doesn't look so good. The Russian advance in this sector here is around almost 2 kilometers, so it's around 2 kilometers advance. So Ukrainians are focusing on recapturing towns and ignoring these tree lines is, yeah, just a bit unusual. And there's one last frontline change is over in Stepove. So this is a very tiny one. This is just I believe this is a geolocation of Russian forces on this tree line. So basically, squaring this front line here a bit. But that's all. Very small change as Stepove. I have to zoom in before you can actually see it. So that's it. So these are all the frontline changes in the past 24 hours. And you can see the Google Map is now unhappy with me. So give me a second. Yeah, it is back the moment I press pause. So So we're going to do some calculation of the frontline changes. So let me put a calculator in. So the Ukrainians captured 2.13 square kilometers. This is largely the claim over in the Komar front. The Russians 2 days ago captured 20.52. So let's see what's the trending for this past 2 days. 0.49 plus 14.4 plus 13.83 plus 0.11 plus 2.78. Total area captured is 31.61 square kilometers for the past 2 days. So this for 2 days. So if you divide by 2, it's merely around 15 square kilometers. It's of course way more than the Ukrainians, but is not really at the 20 square kilometers range. So probably the Ukrainians are doing a lot to try to slow down the Russians. And yeah, and my projection of Ukrainian total collapse has entirely collapsed. So my claims are entirely wrong, and this is also why it's a good advice never to do predictions. But that's the analysis. Which means we can revise our expectations. Is that most of the front line do not fight at the level of or at the scale of the Kursk offensive. So the Kursk front is particularly fierce in comparison to the rest of the front lines. For now, the rest of the front line, it looks like it's probably only a few areas that is very fiercely fought. Most of the front line, it's not. So that's it. So thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and happy birthday to you. If your birthday today, have a great weekend. I'll see you guys in the next update.